Hello traders, and welcome to my fourth video in Elliot Wave Theory. Today we're going to be talking about three things, putting it all together, just some recap of the first three videos. We're going to be talking about subwaves and subwave counts, and we're also going to be doing some practice in practicing counting waves. So without further ado, the first thing that I want you guys to do is to try to label this pattern right here. So to give you guys some context, basically what's going on in the market is we had this A, B, C pattern, as you can see, and now we are looking at a new emerging pattern. So what do you think you would calculate these wave counts to be? And then as a challenge question, what are two possible prices that you think that wave 3 could end at? And before you start, one more thing I want to note is that typically what you see in a 5-3 pattern is that the first wave will have 5 subwaves, the second wave will have 3 subwaves, the third wave will have 5 subwaves, then 4 has 3, and then the fifth wave has 5 subwaves. So basically any wave that moves with the trend is going to have 5 subdegree waves, meaning that within that first wave you should see 5 waves in that wave, if that makes sense. And then wave 2 would have 3. So without further ado, try to start thinking about what kinds of waves this would be. I'm going to give you guys 5 seconds. Okay, so this is what I see in the market for Elliot Wave Theory. I see a 1-2 pattern here, and then I also see this ABC pattern within that 1-2 pattern, because remember, the second wave will have 3 subwaves. And now, I don't think this is the end of wave 3. I think that we still have more up to go. But the hard question is, well, where will wave 3 end? And I think just some knowledge of what's going on in the third wave can help. So this has to do a lot with also subwaves too. So if you were to label this third wave right here that's not complete, how would you label it? Let me give you guys 5 seconds. One possible way to label this is this being a 1, this being a 2, and then we have our 3, and then this sideways action is our 4, and then wave 5 will go up from there, and then we'll see probably a heavy retracement. So now here's the hardest question, and really putting it all together, this is going to be really important and crucial. Because this is just labeling counts, but what Elliot Wave Theory is really good for is projections and predicting where price will probably go. So if I was to ask you and tell you guys that in this market, wave 1 had gone up $70, and where do you think that wave 3 will end? What are two possible prices? Okay, so if you've answered already, then what I think the two possible prices are 311, and I think it's 354. So I'm going to put 2 alerts. I'm going to put this as 354. And the reason why I think 311 and 354 are this. Typically what you see, and what I've explained in the previous videos, is that wave 1 is equal to wave 3, or wave 3 is 1.618, the magnitude of wave 1. If wave 1 is equal to wave 3 in this market, what you're going to see is the 311 becoming resistance, which I think is more likely. But what you could also see is wave 3 being a 1.618 extension. And if that were to happen, then wave 3 would take us up to 354. So those are the two possible ending points for wave 3, I think, within that wave. So yeah, that's what I think is going to happen for the fifth wave of the third wave. I know it's a lot of subwaves and subdegrees, but it's really important to note that when you're doing Elliot Wave Theory, you don't want to just label the largest degree. It's important, but if you really want to be a profitable trader and to understand the market, what you should be doing is looking at these subwaves and these ABC patterns and these 5-wave patterns upwards, these motive patterns. Because if you understand this pretty well, then you can really get a firm grasp on what the market's doing, and you can understand why what is happening in the market. One more note, and this is less Elliot Wave Theory and more just prediction. One reason why a lot of people are asking me, well, how did you know, how did you guess that this would turn into an uptrend when we were down here? The reason why I really thought that this was an uptrend wasn't just the mathematics behind it, which was an important part, but also many people were selling. Many people thought that Ethereum and Bitcoin were just going to fall apart at this point, and that's why you got to buy here. Because when everyone in the market wants to sell something, then the most profitable trader to come out is going to be the one who buys it. And what we saw here was the oversold point, where the market had just had enough. You can see it right here on the 4-hour. Right here, the market had overextended itself downward, and there really was no more selling that could go below 200. And that's the reason why, even after the China news and after Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan came out and said that he does not allow any of his employees to dabble in the crypto markets, even after all that news, why did the market go up? Well, yeah, that's because everyone thought it was going to go down. And when everyone thinks it's going to go down, then everyone's wrong, and the market has to go up. So just being a contrarian really helps in trading, actually. So that was a quick 1-minute side note, but it also does tie into Elliot Wave Theory, where if everyone's calling this market about to fall apart, then you should probably start buying. As counterintuitive as that sounds, I know, but that's how the best traders are made, really. One more thing, and just one last thing we can talk about with Elliot Wave Theory, is that typically what you see is the origin usually connects to the bottom of wave 2, and we have wave 1 usually connects to the top of wave 3, and they're usually parallel. So this is a little more complicated, but this does tell me that 354 might be our next point, because if this trend line holds, then 354 would make a lot of sense for price to go up here. But that's just another tool you can use with your Elliot Wave Theory analysis. And you can also use this tool for, if this is a 1, 2, 3, and then you have a 4, you'd expect that wave 4 would probably touch this trend line and then bounce off of it. So that's just another thing you can use when you're talking about Elliot Wave Theory. So yeah, that's going to be it. This 4-part series went over what is Elliot Wave Theory. We went over ratios and alternations and wavelengths. And we also went over corrective waves in the ABC pattern. And in today's video, we went over subwaves, how you have 2 and 4 to have 3 subwaves, and 1, 3, 5 to have 5 subwaves. One more note on that is that in the ABC pattern, so that's it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you have that ABC correction. Typically what you see is that A pattern to have 5 subwaves, the B pattern has 3 subwaves back upward, and then the C wave has 5 subwaves downward. That's after a 5-wave upward movement. You see that ABC pattern. So yeah, I just hope that I made this series because I don't think that a lot of beginners knew about Elliot Wave Theory. And the reason why I think it's so important is the fact that so many institutional traders and investors use Elliot Wave Theory. And typically you want to be doing what institutional investors and traders are doing. You typically don't want to be doing what other retail traders are doing. So just taking a note out of their book, this is a great tool that they use for projecting price points for clients and then also for their own firms. So that's another reason to use Elliot Wave Theory, I guess. But yeah, that's going to be it for this series. If you guys have any questions or any complaints or concerns, just leave them in the comments. Yeah, I think Elliot Wave Theory is a great tool to use. And along with other technical indicators, you can really get a really good grasp of what's going on in the market and could probably become consistently profitable after doing this for a few years probably. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching.